Does Monday tend to swoop in and beat you up and steal your lunch money? Maybe you're planning on doing something better, starting Monday, and you find yourself already failing by bedtime that day. Well, I'm Karen Buchanan, and I would like to welcome you to Mindful Mondays. Mindful Monday is my attempt to help you and me to start every week in 2018 with an intentional focus on God. This is a video series focused on prayer and on our connection with God. When we tend to our connection with God intentionally, our days and weeks are less likely to get swept away by the tyranny of the urgent. When we focus less on our immediate circumstances and more on God's plans, God's goodness, God's love, and God's purposes, our lives are more likely to follow those things, leading us to joy and freedom and confidence and peace. Aren't those good things? All this leads me to today's main topic, which is cultivating gratitude intentionally. Gratitude is an attitude of thankfulness, but it's more than just a thank you, at least what I'm talking about here. The gratitude to which I refer includes noticing that, someone or something outside of me that is not me is instrumental in bringing me not only the physical things that I need in life, but also joy, pleasure, fun, fulfillment, satisfaction, courage, and more. It's acknowledging that I am not the sole master of my fate. I'm not the only supplier of all my needs. Good stuff comes to me from somewhere outside of me, and gratitude is noticing both the good stuff and the source of the good stuff. Gratitude is, by its nature, humble. It acknowledges others and God, and not only my own selfish self. We don't always automatically experience gratitude, do we? Sometimes it flows, but sometimes it ebbs. Sometimes we are so wrapped up in noticing what we don't have that we lose touch with gratitude for what we do have. I like to refer to my gratitude muscles. If I don't lose it, said that wrong. If I don't use it, I lose it. Practicing intentional gratitude daily strengthens that gratitude muscle so that when I get in a hard place, I'm still able to find gratitude and experience joy, even amidst trials and challenges. Gratitude practiced regularly will leak into your prayer life and invade your conversations with God. When I tuned into gratitude, when I'm tuned in there, I'm way more likely to notice the good stuff that God is doing. Do you think God is pleased when we do that, when we notice what He's doing? I do. Do you think maybe in God's pleasure, God opens up new understanding, new insights, new healing, and other good things in response to our gratitude? Experience tells me that God does. I recommend sharing what you're grateful for, whether that means talking it over, about it over a meal with someone, calling up a friend, or my favorite, writing it down for others to read. Years ago, I joined an online gratitude list, and as it was part of a 12-step program, I was in a difficult passage in my life, and I tell you, it was almost impossible to come up with 5 things each day that I was grateful for. But as I pressed in, I quickly learned how writing my gratz changed my ability to cope with adversity. Pretty soon, writing gratz became one of my first and very best coping strategies in those moments when it felt like, my whole world was blowing up. When I stopped to write gratz, it centered me. It focused me. It reminded me that God had not abandoned me. It turned my attention away from my problems and toward God. It made my prayers less shrill and whiny. And so I'm all about gratitude, whether it's written down or just spoken. When I share my gratz, it helps me to be more intentional, to push through the thought process. And when I do that, I find nuggets of wisdom that I wouldn't have noticed if I had just run the list mentally to myself in my own head. While you're thinking about what you want to get done in 2018, I challenge you to consider intentional gratitude for your list. I am a different person today because of doing years of grat lists. I'm calmer in adversity. I'm more certain of God's goodness. I'm quicker to come out of my selfish self and notice there are other people on the planet with lives and needs. In the middle of a freak out, I'm clearer that it won't always be like whatever is freaking me out, and I'm much more kind to myself and others. I'm less prone to loneliness. If any of those things sound good to you, sound like things you'd like to add to your life this year, maybe start with gratitude. Say it out loud, write it down, share it generously. I'd love to hear how that works out for you. Now, one last thing, I'm trying to offer resources on Mindful Mondays when I can. These are just things I have found, experienced, or used. I'm not being paid or otherwise rewarded for sharing them with you. Today's great resource is totally free. The Daily Audio Bible mobile app is a great way to listen through the Bible in a year. I did this in 2016, and I did it again in 2017, and today I've kicked off to start round 3 for 2018. If you're here to be more mindful, if you're here to find a better connection with God, this is a great place to start. And listening through the Bible in a year is way easier than reading through. I listen while I work out or while I shower and get ready. Whatever the first thing I do in the morning is, I do it while listening to my daily audio Bible. It sets my mind on God before I can turn to the news or to my Facebook feed, and that's made a real difference in my life. I'll put a link in the comment section below. That's all for this episode of Mindful Mondays. I'll see you next week, and meanwhile, don't forget to try out intentional gratitude.